Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button, hit the like, all of that good stuff. So, on September 26th, we have a great fight between Jermell Charlo and Jeison Rosario. This fight is obviously a unification bout at £154. The titles that shall be on the line are the WBC title, which is held by Jermell Charlo, and the WBA and IBF titles, which are held by Jeison Rosario. This fight goes down on the 26th of September. It's coming around quick, so I thought I'd do a prediction video for this fight. As I've said previously, I really like this fight, and I really like this card. You know, Jermell Charlo versus Sergey Derevyanchenko is also on this card. For me, this is the best card since after lockdown, so I'm really looking forward to this night of boxing. But in regards to Jermell Charlo versus Jeison Rosario, let's briefly talk about the tail of the tape. We shall start with Jermell Charlo. He has a record of 33 wins, 1 defeat, 0 draws, 17 of those 33 wins coming by way of knockout. Jeison Rosario has a record of 20 wins, 1 defeat, 1 draw, 14 of those 20 wins coming by way of knockout. Jermell Charlo is listed as 5'11" with a 73-inch reach, whereas Jeison Rosario, he's also listed as 5'11", but he has a 70-inch reach. So while both guys are the same height, Jermell Charlo does have a 3-inch reach advantage, and potentially on fight night, that could be a factor. Both of these guys are orthodox fighters. Jermell Charlo is 30 years old, and Jeison Rosario is 25 years old, so fairly evenly matched on paper. In regards to experience, obviously Jermell Charlo's had a lot more fights, and in my opinion, he's really fought at the higher level. You know, he's fought guys like Tony Harrison twice, he's fought Austin Trout, he's fought Erickson Lubin, he's fought Vanes Martirosyan, Gabriel Rosado. Jermell Charlo is certainly more of a proven commodity at £154, whereas Jeison Rosario, as good as his win was over Julian Williams, that really is his only world level win in the weight class. Prior to that, you know, he was knocked out by Nathaniel Gallimore, who's at best was a fringe contender in the weight class, and he also had a really tough fight with Jorge Cota, who obviously Jermell Charlo flatlined in 3 rounds. So, you know, Jeison Rosario, the jury is out, but, you know, he's got his chance to really showcase his skills against Jermell Charlo. I've got to say, going into this fight, I have been paying a lot of attention to what people are saying in regards to this bout, and a lot of people out there really see this as a closely contested affair in which both guys could win. While I certainly feel it's going to be competitive and it's a dangerous fight for Jermell Charlo, I do make him a favourite, and I felt that way since day one. Since this fight was first talked about, I've always felt Jermell Charlo was the favourite, and he's the guy I'm backing in this fight. The way I see it, with Jermell Charlo, I think obviously he's got the physical attributes, you know, the reach, the legs, to actually keep this fight on the outside and play the boxer. I think Jermell Charlo, while he's not a great technical boxer, he can do it at a decent level. You know, we saw that earlier on in his career against the likes of Martirosyan, Gabriel Rosado. He moved a lot more in those fights behind the jab, you know, using his legs. If he fought like that against Jeison Rosario, I think naturally he's going to give Rosario problems. I think he's got the legs, the reach advantage, and enough boxing ability to give Rosario real problems on the back foot. As we know, Rosario is a come-forward fighter. He's not like a crude come-forward fighter, although sometimes it does look like that, but he does actually have some decent skills on the front foot. He can actually counterpunch while moving forwards. We saw that against Julian Williams. His pull right-hand counter on the front foot is actually his best punch in my opinion. You know, he was tagging Julian Williams with that quite a lot. But, you know, Julian Williams, he really obliged him in that fight. You know, he kind of standard and traded with Jeison Rosario, and that was his undoing. If Jermell Charlo uses his legs, keeps the fight at range, I actually think he could make it very difficult for Jeison Rosario to get his big power shots off. Now, some people would doubt that due to Jermell Charlo's recent fights, where he's been a lot more aggressive, where he's kind of held his feet a lot more. But if you look at his whole career, Jermell Charlo used to box a lot more on the back foot. If he goes back to that style, I think that style would be enough to get a decision over Jeison Rosario, unless obviously Rosario catches Charlo with something massive. But obviously, in my opinion, Jermell Charlo has a really good beard. I think he's got a pretty good chin at £154. and he's a fairly tough guy in my opinion. So, landing that one perfect shot against Jermell Charlo is going to be easier said than done. Even if Jermell Charlo decides to fight how he's recently been fighting, and by saying that I mean, trading a bit more, holding his feet, and actually trying to let go of some really hard shots, while that gives Jeison Rosario a better chance to win this fight, especially considering Rosario's subtle counterpunch abilities, I still think even in that sort of fight, Jermell Charlo would have a better chance of winning this fight. I think Jermell Charlo could beat Jeison Rosario in a boxing match, and I think he can beat Jeison Rosario in a street fight. Up close, I think Jermell Charlo is the more precise puncher. I like his work, it's more varied. He can go to the body, he can go to the head, and in my opinion, his arsenal of punches is a little bit more proven, a little bit better than Jeison Rosario's. Obviously, one punch Jermell Charlo would have to really watch out for in the exchanges is the straight right hand of Jeison Rosario, that pull right hand counter, because Jermell Charlo, when he exchanges, he does tend to throw a lot of wide punches to head and body. So if you've got a guy who can counter with a straight punch, that straight punch is going to get there before a looping wide punch. So yeah, in the exchanges, Jermell Charlo would have to be careful not to get caught by that shot, and who knows, maybe he could get hurt. So while that street fight, brawling type fight is a lot more risky for Jermell Charlo, I still think he can win in that fight as well, to be honest. All in all, I'm really struggling to see past Jermell Charlo's superior experience and more well-rounded game. We really don't know how good Jeison Rosario is. Don't get me wrong, I was impressed with what he showed me in the Julian Williams fight, but was that a one-off? I mean, if we look at his earlier career form, the guy wasn't exactly pulling up trees. He wasn't exactly setting the world alight. This was a guy who was going life and death with Jorge Cota. This was a guy who was getting knocked out by Nathaniel Gallimore, So, listen, I'm not completely sold on Jeison Rosario quite yet, I have to be honest. I think he's a good fighter. I think he's a hard puncher. He's a big guy for the weight. But skill for skill, maybe apart from that straight right hand, what does he really do better than Jermell Charlo? Is he a better boxer? A more versatile boxer? I don't think so. And is he a better street fighter? A better brawler? Again, I'm not particularly sure, to be honest. So, when you consider both guys, what they've done, what they can do in the ring, I've got to make Jermell Charlo a favourite based on what I've seen. I really do. Jermell Charlo, in my opinion, does have dog in him. If it gets tough, I think he'll match Jeison Rosario. And no matter what fight Jermell Charlo fights, whether it's an aggressive fight or a boxing fight, I think he wins this. I really do. Obviously, I give Jeison Rosario a puncher's chance. He seems to be heavy-handed, but again, I can't see past Jermell Charlo winning this fight. I've got Jermell Charlo to win, and I'm actually going to pick Jermell Charlo by knockout in this fight. I'm not sure exactly when, maybe round 7, 8, 9, something like that, but I expect Jermell Charlo to win in a fairly competitive fight, a pretty fun fight, but I've got Jermell Charlo winning this fight by stoppage. For me, Jeison Rosario needs to be looking for that counter right hand down the pipe. I think that's his best shot, and he needs to catch Charlo coming in those wide exchanges. I think that's his best chance. He needs to knock Jermell Charlo out. I don't think he can win on points. I don't think he can outbox Jermell Charlo. He needs to get the knockout as far as I'm concerned, but I don't really see it happening. I've got to be honest. I've got Jermell Charlo winning by stoppage. More than likely in the later rounds. Maybe like rounds 8, 9, something like that. But yeah, that's my brief prediction for this fight. I'm a bit strapped for time, so I've had to rush this one. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Share your thoughts below. Who do you think is going to win the fight? Are you picking the favourite Jermell Charlo, or are you picking the underdog Jeison Rosario? Share your thoughts below. Peace.